Hello and welcome to another panel. As part of the Spotlight Indies big indie weekend that we're doing today. It is the Sunday. It is not quite the first thing you've had today on Sunday, but it is one of the first proper panels. So I am absolutely thrilled to have so many amazing authors and creators with me here today. And today we are talking about maps, merch, and bonus materials. So the brief description that I have created for this little panel is whether it's a map, a mug, companion guides, or a special edition, we all love to get extra swag from our favorite authors. And in this panel, we're going to talk about some wonderful indie authors, talk to some wonderful indie authors about the kinds of bonus materials they make and their advice for anyone looking to do the same for their own work. Now, as is my whim, I'm going to go around clockwise and ask everybody to introduce themselves and their work, and also maybe just plug some of their own swag. So, Adrian, can we start with you, please?
Of course, man. I'm Adrian M. Gibson. I am the author of Mushroom Blues, and that's the first book in the Hoffman Report series. I'm also a co-host of SFF Addicts podcast. If you're familiar with Spotlight Indie, you probably know about Fanfi Addict. So you've likely seen my face over there. Jenny's shaking, giving a little shake over there. So I'm a co-host of SFF Addicts. Ben too, thanks, man.
I have the ebook. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
your
so
hair's,
we didn't
but
prepare
Lauren,
our
your
ebooks.
hair's blue. Your hair's blue, so that's
Representing.
Yeah, representing. And then on top of that, I am an illustrator, book designer, tattoo artist sometimes, and a stay-at-home dad. I'll show my swag throughout the panel, so I'm not gonna flash it all around, but I'll just shake this shirt for a minute.
Eke it out over the whole panel.
Yeah, exactly. Once we start going into things and explaining things, then I'll show a little bit off. But Jenny, go for it.
Okay, so I'm Jenny, published under J.E. Hannaford. I'm author of the Black Hind's Wake duology, the Illyrian Gates epic fantasy trilogy, and an ever-increasing number of short stories tucked in other anthologies along the way. I'll grab a pretty one. There we go. So that's probably my prettiest, swaggiest cover. Not that I'm disrespecting any of the others, because I love them all. They're all my children, but and I like making swag, but I end up making most of the swag for me. But because of doing multiple things, I guess one of the things that I've tried as a slightly different tack is not necessarily just doing swag specifically for the series, because my series are all different, but to create an author brand with my own stuff. And so this is Hector, and he's actually the Wren that's on my book, that's on my publishing icon. He's my imprint thing. And so there is lots of Hector swag on my website.
Amazing. Ben, could you please introduce yourself?
Of course, yeah. Hi, I'm Ben Galley. I've been an author for the last 15 years now, published my first book, The Written, in 2010. And so since then, have never looked back or stopped. And I think I've just finished, I think it is my 20th book that I've just finished that will be publishing later this year. I normally write epic fantasy, grimdark fantasy, recently some sci-fi as well. When I'm not writing or arguing about dragons, I'm helping other authors to publish and to market their books from all around the world as well, as a consultant and coach. And yes, I have some swag. I've got my mug here. I've got all sorts of stuff. I love bonus materials and merch and maps and things like that. So excited to be here.
Yeah, this is the right place to talk about that stuff.
Good.
And Lauren, what about yourself?
Hi, I'm Lauren. I write under the name LL McRae. I haven't been publishing quite as long as veteran Ben, so I feel like a baby in comparison. That being said, I published my first book in 2017, and I have 19 books now across a few series, including a couple of short stories and anthologies. Probably best known for my recently complete Dragon Spirit series. This is the TPB Press edition, which is often referred to as the golden ingot because of the gilded pages, and when there's a stack of them, it's just very, very shiny. So I've always been a magpie. I've always loved extras, whether it be on books, so things like the foils, spot UVs, illustrations, just to bring it all to life. But I like collecting things, so I have a ton of swag. I have a bit of a topsy-turvy approach to authoring compared to most people. So I sell most of my books direct in-person events, Comic-Cons, craft fairs, things like that. So I have a ton of swag for the table. So I have pocket dragon pins, I have bookmarks, artwork, prints, stickers, maps on parchment paper, everything to do with epic fantasy, which is my primary genre. and I love building more of it. Similar to Jen, I do kind of have like an author brand logo, which is this blue dragon. I don't know if you guys can see that, but he's at the top of all my social media banners, on my business cards. It just kind of explains a little bit about me and what I am, and it's epic fantasy, but it's not like heavy and grimdark. There's a much more sort of whimsical vibe to it, and that's kind of what I want the swag to represent, both me and the books. So that's me.
Perfect. So a really wide range of approaches I think we're going to get here as well, which is great. So I think the first thing would be good to touch on is, what would you say is the biggest benefit to creating and using this bonus material, like whatever it could be? As I said, we've got like a nice wide range here, and so what the biggest benefit would be, and then why, should we be considering this kind of extra material, or perhaps why should we not consider certain extra material? So I'll throw that open to whoever might want to leap in.
I mean, I can tackle it from like a perspective of the book itself, because I know we're going to get into swag and a bunch of stuff like that. Yep. But because we're an indie, I do think there is an opportunity for us to make the book itself as swaggy as possible, if that makes sense. Like
swaggy.
trad publishing tends to go for the most cost efficient path, and that involves less pages, that involves tighter manuscripts, and you'll see a lot of authors who are going the traditional route talking about like, oh yeah, I can't write anything like over 120k. If you're writing something in fantasy, a lot of genres it's like 80 to 90k words per manuscript kind of thing. But in indie, it's like there's so much flexibility, and on top of the fact that you can kind of cater the book's length to your personal tastes and to a more kind of flexible reader base, you can also thicken it up with all kinds of extras within the book itself, and so it's kind of like you can treat interior design and you can treat art as an opportunity for you to expand upon your world and expand the reader's opportunity to immerse themselves in your world and your characters and your story. And so for my book, like with Mushroom Blues, like I kind of brought a lot of my experience from tattooing and illustration and graphic design into it. And so it's like right from the first page is like you open it up and it's like there's artwork, I've designed all of the pages. There's 2-page spreads of maps and stuff like that. A publisher might not ever give you a map, but if you're indie, it's just like, screw it, I'm going to make my own map, or I'm going to hire someone to do it, or something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of opportunities to turn your book itself into a launching pad for deeper immersion and deeper world building through art, through maps, through things that could be external swag, but also can exist in your book as internal swag.
But
I
to
love
follow
the
on
internal
from
swag.
that, sorry, Ben.
Oh no, I was just saying I love swag, internal swag. After you go for it.
But to follow on, like in addition to immersing people, it's also a point of difference, because like so much of indie writing is shouting into the void and marketing, and like why would somebody give your book a go over something else, be it trad published or not? And if you have that extra, and that's almost like a standard thing that you give to your readers for your own worlds, and they know that that's what they're going to get from you. And so if you have readers that want maps, that want art, that want nicely designed and formatted things without having to go to a full special edition, you can do that for them, and that elevates you as a brand. It makes a sticking point in their mind, and it kind of helps, as well as offering additional immersion and bringing your world to life in a different way within the book.
Yeah, I mean, my approach has been my approach has been make my regular editions as close to a special edition as possible, just through the interior.
Yeah, I love doing that, and I think it's one of the things that exactly like as you both said, it's one of the feathers in our cap of being in indie is that we have this freedom. But I think as a reader, I love a map. I'm always looking for maps if I'm picking up a book as well, and I definitely think it enhances the product as well as the, like you said, Adrian, the immersion and the experience. For me, it's all about connection and sort of deepening that connection for a reader as well. A book is obviously a creative process, and at the end it's kind of this relic of creativity. Well, not relic, but that'll work. That kind of thing of just, it's got a story, it's got, behind the scenes, it's, gone through a journey itself to be that final product. So I like trying to share that story with the reader as well. And so I like things like writing playlists and Spotify playlists in the book as well. Introduction to cast list of characters I did for one of my my Weird West alternate history steampunk book. I can never know how to describe it. It is very Weird West. It's a mashup of lots of different things. But yeah, I re-released that series and kind of went to town, just doing all sorts of different things with the page design, interior, and things like that. And the amount of people who have actually messaged me and said, I really like this, and I've never seen that before in a book. So thank you for doing that. So yeah, it's great fun messing around with the interior, or the actual contents of the book and the interior. And then I think offering other things up, like pins, prints, mugs, stuff like that. It's all about the reader fandom. They love your characters or love your world or your world building or love you as an author, so they want to have something like a trinket to show off or put on their shelf that kind of connects them to their fandom and their kind of their enjoyment. So I really like allowing that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I brought the skin out in, I think it came out in 2021, and there was a lot of pushback, if I'm honest, at the time, because I decided to put art on the top of every chapter header.
Oh no.
And the pushback I got was that this isn't done. Why have we got pictures? Why have we got the artwork in there on the top of every chapter initially, from quite a few people who now just accept that they're going to get that with that series. But having that artwork in there and having a contract, because we're talking about bonus material, if you're getting bonus material, make sure you check the contract with your artist if you're not doing it yourself. So the artist who did that with me, I have I can do anything but paper. There's certain things, because she publishes her art herself, that she only trusts certain companies to print that work. So I can use it, but she has to arrange the printing of certain things. If I was to make greeting cards from the Black Hind's Wake, I couldn't do that with her art without her insisting I use the company that she publishes through, because she's only happy with the quality that they produce. So it's not that I can't, but I have to check. Whereas other artists, well, I mean, I've got free reign. I've got a mouse mat here with the cover the cover of Gates of Sorrow. That was a test print that we were trying to see if we could get that to work. And I've got free license to do anything. So when you're doing the swag, I think if you're making it yourself, obviously you can do whatever with it. But also be very aware that if you've got plans for swag, that you have checked with your artist that you have the rights to use that art in those ways. Because some artists are very restrictive.
Yeah, and I mean, it might not necessarily be just like, I prefer my art to be printed with this printer because I know their quality and that's the only one I will accept. A lot of the times it comes down to an artist base fee will only include certain licenses. And so your contract with them is a licensing agreement. And, when it comes to like my cover, that was with Felix Ortiz, that was just a blanket license. So Felix, I pay him, we've signed the contract, everything, he finishes the art, delivers it to me, and I can use it for the cover, but then I can also use it for anything else that I want without having to pay him an extra licensing fee. But there are some artists who will give you a base fee, and that will usually include print rights or like print licensing and stuff like that, but won't include merchandise. It won't include art prints. It won't include all these different things. So that is something you should
I've seen one that doesn't include social media as well.
Yeah,
exactly. For use on social media and things like that.
Yeah, so, some like marketing material is usually a free add-on that most artists add in there in their licenses, in their base license, but always check from the beginning. If you've heard from someone else, oh, this particular artist costs this much, yeah, maybe, but that could be just their base fee. And then on top of that, you could be looking at another 500, 1,000, 1,500.
Sorry, I derailed us there, but I was kind of
no. I mean,
thinking,
this is,
we're talking about making all this amazing stuff. Just as a
Yeah.
caveat, before we talk about all the amazing stuff, unless you're making it yourself, make sure you've checked that you can.
Yeah, because
Exactly.
I mean that gets into like the heart of it is like when it comes to merchandise, if you are not the kind of person that is able to do design work yourself, if you're not able to create the art yourself, and you are contracting third parties, you're contracting an artist or designer to help you with this stuff. All of that comes down to how much money do you have available to be able to do these things. And with that is be very, very sure, be 100% sure with your artist, with your designer, what their costs include and how that plays into your overall budgeting. Because otherwise you might just be like, oh, I had this grand plan. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, crap. Now I have to shell out an extra, 500, 1,000 plus on top of the budget that I already had in order to be able to do those things that I had planned to do. And that could leave you in the lurch when it comes to like going to a con or running a Kickstarter or all these different kinds of things.
Absolutely, it's very the contract is very important and underlies.
If anyone knows contracts, it's Alex.
Yeah, and there's lots of different levels of these kind of things.
You did talk about why we should be considering it, and I derailed us there. But I was kind of going to come back to, like I said, I had one of Ben's pins. So for me as a reader, I have these things that I have collected from authors. And when I see them, it reminds me that, oh God, yeah, I need to go and read the next book in that. So having those things in my house triggers me to think, oh, I meant to go and read that one. That needs to come back on my list. I need to read that one. I need to read that one. And having them there just helps, I think, if we're being quite mercenary about it, to remind our readers that we exist. And
in a way that is not social media, right?
Yes.
In a way that is not social media. It's just physically there. Oh yeah, I enjoyed that first one, so I got that, and they gave me that extra swag, that mushroom stickers on my water bottle every time I drink from it. I need to make sure I remember to get his next book.
Yeah. I think it's a good point. It's a bit like, if you're into a certain sports team and you wear, your favorite number, favorite player, whatever it is, of whatever team, whatever sport you're into. And that's the thing, you're kind of saying to the world, when you wear that, again, it might just be a cool shirt. It might be the magpie effect of that's shiny. I want that. But I think a lot of people out there who are like true fans of a sport or a team, they are kind of wearing it with pride, but also to represent their team and their interests as well. They're saying, this is how I feel about this team. This is my favorite team, favorite sport, favorite player, whatever. And I think through kind of a secondary effect when kind of we authors create or hand out swag, like even if it's simple and kind of easier swag like badges or stickers and pins and things like that, we're almost kind of like marketing through the readers as well, because I know I've got all these pins like it mentioned, and it's just having them on like lapels and things like that. People can ask, oh, what's that cool Griffin pin or Farden pin? Farden's one of my main characters, and they can sort of say, well, this is a book by Bengali, so it's almost like as well as these other things, we have this added benefit of kind of almost creating like street teams as well, if we give out enough swag, which I quite like doing as well.
Dude, I love the way you use the word the phrase street team. It's like so applicable, because this is like a lot of my approaches to merch came from my days as a tattoo artist, because it was like as a tattoo artist, like your clients are your street team. They are the people who are your biggest fans and the people that keep returning for tattoos, but they're also the ones that people see out in the street. Exactly. And they say, who did your tattoo? That's really cool. And it just becomes this really symbiotic kind of interplay. And merch is just kind of like an add-on to that. It's like anytime I had a client come in for a tattoo, I just started making my own merch, basically. Like here in Ecuador, it's not necessarily like we have something as easy as like Vistaprint or these other companies that can basically, here's a bunch of die cut stickers for you, here's a bunch of pins and blah blah blah, and it's a little bit more tricky in that sense. So it's like literally I would just go to a print, like my local print shop, and I would print out a giant poster of on sticker paper, and then hand cut them all myself. And then when clients came in for a tattoo, I would give them a free sticker. And I also had like a shop portion of my tattoo studio. And so people would be like, oh, I'm getting a tattoo. Maybe their friends are hanging around. They go get a t-shirt, or they go get a pin, or they go get some stickers, or whatever else it might be. Or the person who got the tattoo might also be like, I love this tattoo that I got and I want to support this artist even more, and maybe get some merch on top of that. And so it all becomes this really amazing positive feedback loop of your merch becomes another avenue of promotion for you. And the people who carry your merch are literally like they're the carriers of that promotional opportunity, and if they have your merch, there's a good chance that they love your work. And if someone asks them about it, there's a good chance that they'll tell them, and that person could become a new reader, it could become a new fan, or what have you.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think it's important to sort of, that you were saying, you know, people point to the pin or point to the sticker and everything, that it doesn't necessarily have to be directly, you know, like that's a Varden pin or something. You know, Lauren, you were
Yeah.
saying with Hector as well.
Like this is a pin that I made, and it's literally, it's just like I call it a little happy ramen, and that's because that, you know, and that's because of Mushroom Blues. It's like they go to a noodle shop and they eat some noodles.
Now I want
So it's
ramen.
like,
Thanks.
I'm gonna make you all
Goddamn.
hungry. Yeah, but then I also have a mushroom pin, and it's kind of like this nice pairing, and it doesn't necessarily say Mushroom Blues on it or the Fungal Verse or anything like that, but it has an association, and it's really cute and it's cool, and this is kind of like an extension of me as an artist as much as an author.
Yeah.
Like
I'd also like to add that we can only write so many books, and some people will already have all of our books and be like, when's the next one? And you're like, sorry, not for another 6 months, 18 months, 2 years, whatever it might be. And then they're like, well, how can I still support you? And then sometimes swag can be a small way of them being able to do that, shout about it, be the marketing. But conversely, readers that maybe don't click with your books but really like you and want to support you can still get something and still be like, oh, well, this wasn't for me, but I have a friend who loves dragons. You know, I'll get a pin from you for them, or to show them, or, you know, things like that. So it's another way of just keeping up that engagement in between like book releases. They don't take as long to make as a book takes to write. So it can be added to like, you know, a year long or a 5 year long marketing plan. Like, I'm not having another book release for this. What can I do to kind of bridge the gap, keep conversations going, and then allow people to still support me, and like Jen said, keep you in like sort of the forefront during those lull periods.
Yeah, I'm going to shout out my friend Gabriela Romero La Cruz, who's an author with Orbit Books, and she I mean, writing is not like her main gig. Yeah, Sun in the Void. There we go. She's also an incredible artist who goes by the Moonborn. And basically her job before she started writing was she was a full-time artist and graphic designer. And now she basically like runs these two businesses side by side. And there's some intersection where she does like the chapter header illustrations and stuff like that for her books. But at the same time, it's like she has her art and her merch that she sells, and she makes these incredible pins and stuff. And there are people who are huge fans of her art, and there are people who are huge fans of her books. Sometimes there's crossover, but there are also fans of each individual thing, which is really cool.
That's the point I really like, is revenue as well. I mean, we all love revenue.
Diversifying your income, right?
Diversifying the income, that's it. Because that's the thing. I mean, like I work with a lot of authors and have met a lot of authors, and it's, you know, we're all kind of weird and wacky and creative, you know, bunch. But I think a lot of the successful indies, like, you know, us out there, it's about having that business mind as well, and diversification, multiple revenue streams, multiple products and things like that can be a way of, you know, getting into, you know, making it your full-time job. And that's something I think is really, really important. I think that's what we do anyway with things like translations, short stories, anthologies, special editions. We diversify and kind of explore that creativity quite a lot. But for a lot of authors, you know, it doesn't have to be a whole merch store. It could just be one or two little pieces and things like that. It could be a pin, mug, could be real simple. But that can actually, you know, contribute a huge amount of revenue, you know, monthly, yearly, that sort of thing, as well as all these other benefits of, you know, connecting with readers, enhancing our products and things like that as well. And I find, for example, obviously, Lauren, you do way more events than I do, but anytime I do have a table at a place, people go mad for the swag. I always think of the Michael Scott thing where it's like swag stuff we all get. And I find that a lot of people, the last table I had was at Fan Expo, I think a year ago in Vancouver here. And people were coming picking up, you know, my challenge coins and things like that. I can hold them a bit closer actually. And this is literally as designy as I get. I am not an artist, but I did make these. I can do very simple designs and things like that. But people were just coming up and looking at the swag and then be like, oh, there's also books, which is quite fun as well.
I've had people at Comic-Cons buy maps from me on parchment paper just because they liked it. They didn't know me, they didn't buy the books or anything. They're like, I like this, I can see it as inspiration for my D&D campaign or whatever. Awesome. And I'm like, go for it. I'm not going to say no. My details are on there if you're like, yeah, you want to look me up. But
no, you need to get them into a contract for licensing for their game.
In blood, yeah.
But yeah, I love conventions for that, because like a couple times the Broken Binding has had my books at their table. at Worldcon in Glasgow, and then again at Brighton for World Fantasy Con. And like, bless their hearts, they put me next to the swag both times, and I was like, thank you, because immediately people are like, they come and they're like, yes, books, of course, and there are the diehards who are just like, I'm there in just direct to go get a book. But a lot of the times it's like, they'll go to the swag corner, they'll get the free pin, they'll get the free bookmarks, they'll get some things like that, and then it's like my book was like right next to the swag section, and I'm like, oh, thank you so much. It's like, it's just like it's one of those like crazy psychological things that people go fucking mad for freebies, right? And this is like, this is what I learned during my time as a tattoo artist as well. It's like, give away a free sticker, and people are so gracious just for something that is free. And that is immediately a way for you to develop a connection with this person. Even if they don't buy a book from you, you can still be like, okay, like, you know, this is like, you know, they're not cut yet, but these are Mushroom Blues bookmarks, and you know, I'm the masochist who's like hand cutting all this shit myself. But if someone's just like, free bookmark, awesome, and then they kind of just build that subconscious association in their heads, it's like maybe they're reading a book with this bookmark and they see it literally every day, and then there's my website, there's the name of my book, there's a QR code or whatever it may be, and it's just such a direct avenue into this person's mind in a really weird, messed up kind of way. But
and make sure you do that. Put the QR code, put your details.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ben, earlier you were mentioning Spotify playlists. And it's just like, take advantage of QR codes, people.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is the back of my book. Here's the Spotify playlist QR code. Here's the album for Mushroom Blues as well. There's a QR code. There's like so many QR codes are so easy. Throw them on your business card. Throw them on your bookmarks.
I have a problem
whatever
with
you need to do.
I started using them in 2011, 2012. Not that I was the first, but I thought, oh, this is fun. You know, this is a cool way of doing this, like a scannable barcode. No one knew what they were, like in the signings and the events that I did. I was like, you can scan it on your phone, but at that point you had to download a QR reader app, which no one wanted to do. So yeah, I think my first 3 or 4 books, if the original kind of, because I've changed it all now, but yeah, I had QR codes and then I took them out, and now everyone's using them.
And now everyone has them.
You were too far ahead of everyone.
You were so jaded.
I've got stuff from Cindy from the Indie Syndicate lot that are all QR coded, and but as you guys are saying, that is the other thing. This is one of my most infamous mistakes. Lovely art, no name, no title, no author, no QR code.
I mean, it's just like stuff as simple as this. It's like, throw your website, your social media handle on there, whatever it may be. Just like,
make sure you remember to make it more than pretty. Make it a lead back to you.
Yeah, we need the magpie effect, but also the marketing effect. This is why I like saying free book, but the bookmark is 10 or 20 bucks. You get a free book with the purchase of a bookmark. Works really well at events. I always have a bowl of like candy as well, so I always do like, you know, free books, but you gotta buy like $20 worth of candy or something like that.
I used to do like a lucky dip, but this was pre-COVID, and then COVID made me really realize how dirty people were. But like, I'd have a lucky dip box, and then you would reach in and you'd pull out like a Chupa Chups lolly. I don't know if that's cool. You know that, Adrian. It's just like a little like a wrapped sweet lolly.
Okay.
And if it had like a ticket wrapped around the stalk of it, then you would win. And I had like dragon puppets, so they were kind of like fun for kids. It was £1 a go, and then you could win something on theme.
Genius.
Obviously, I've since realised that you don't really want to be reaching into a box, so I don't do it anymore. But like, like you said, having the bowl of sweets, it's a similar kind of thing. It's just
please wrap sweets. Wrapped sweets.
Always wrap sweets.
Yeah, always
and
wrapped.
For the people who are allergic to nuts as well, you've got to cater for, you know, dietary things. I like the what they call the
wheels.
The prize wheel kind of
prize
thing.
wheel. There we go. Those ones. I like those. They're fun. Yeah.
turning your con into like your conflict into like a little fun
It's fun.
house, you know?
That's the thing. I mean, like, I've been to so many events, and you might have seen this as well. There are some, people that, and there's a lot of pressure, I think, in the book world too. There's lots of pressure in all different areas of marketing. You need to be like doing this and chasing that and being on these platforms. And I think events is an area of that where some people will feel that they must do events because that's the only way that they can actually, reach authors and things, reach readers and things like that. But then they might not actually be that comfortable at events. And I see that quite a lot where, it's just essentially like a table and a person sat behind it, and they're sort of like, polite, and they're there to answer any questions, but there's not a lot of selling going on, which is absolutely fine.
And
Some people
it's
don't like
not,
that.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of the thing of like, is this person approachable? And
There you go. Yeah,
are they,
exactly.
it's kind of like, does this booth feel inviting? And
Yes,
again, it comes
exactly
a lot
that.
like, so much of this comes down to psychology, like human psychology, and how manipulable it is. But cons, it's like, would you rather go up to a booth and there's someone who's standing and their arms are open and they're smiling and maybe they're chatting with somebody, they have candy on their table, they have a prize wheel or something like that,
Sparkle in their eye.
Just not like
Lauren,
not Lauren's like Fear Factor box or whatever the hell it was, but like at the very least, it's like someone who's up there and it feels kind of a bit kind of rude to say that it's like you're being like a car salesman in a way, but in a way there is a sort of approach that you have to take. It's like if you're sitting behind your table and you're just like looking at your phone, or you're like you kind of like have that look of like despondency and like you've given up because like how few people have come by to your table. It's like, okay, well, maybe think about how you present yourself, and if that's something you don't want to do at all, there's so many other avenues that you can do it. It's like you can sell merch on your website. If you live in a country like the UK or the US where it's easy to get that merch made and delivered, go for it. Like I live in Ecuador, so it's a lot more difficult for me, in which case I do print on demand, and I went through a rigorous process of like finding a print on demand company that makes merch that I was happy with, and I got tests of all of the different stuff, and now that stuff is available on my website if anyone wants to buy tote bags or art prints or t-shirts and clothing and all this kind of stuff. And a lot of the clothing doesn't even have anything to do with my books. It's stuff that I've designed just from me as a designer and wanting to do that kind of stuff. And so there are options if you do not want to do cons, if you don't want to do in-person events. There are ways that you can sell merch, and then you can promote it on social media, or you can just have it be a little bit more of a static thing, like a little bonus on your website. And if it's print on demand, you don't have to invest anything,
which is great.
And it's great,
Etsy
and stuff like that too. So
bring us on to kind of the next point. Like, hey, we've been talking lots of different things you can do, and you say like different ways that you can kind of ring the bell of look at me, I'm over here at a whether you're at like a physical table or that gives you an opportunity to do that online as well, so you're not plugging like buy my book. You can go, oh look, I've got these cute stickers, and you just saying
buy my coins.
Exactly.
Buy my mugs.
You mentioned,
and when Ben says buy my coins, he's not talking like Bitcoin scammy
shit. Physical coins. But you mentioned like print on demand. Print on demand there, so it might be good as well if people are thinking about these things, like thinking about how to make these extra things. And obviously there's lots of different things, like you were saying, your print on demand. We've obviously lucky in the UK to have lots of different places, like Vistaprint's a big one and stuff like that. So Adrian, you just mentioned print on demand, but like Ben, where did you get your coins made? You said you were a designer enough to sort of make them, but I'm assuming you don't have. I mean, maybe you do have a little like crucible out the
forge
back.
out back.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I did make that mistake. I mean, like I think we're all creative people, but like I said, I'm not an artist. But I've kind of picked it up over the years. So yeah, I did design them, and then I was just essentially looking for providers. So I kind of went with not a local but Canadian company. They're out in Ontario somewhere, and they are called I should know this. Oh no. Strike Your Coin. That's what they're called. Strike Your Coin. They're fantastic. They do lots of different things, lots of different options, and they're actually quite affordable as well. So I just went with a kind of a local supplier or an in-country supplier, and an individual company, just the old school way. And then just did the design myself. But of course, otherwise I'd be hiring someone to do, coin design. And for the rest of my merch, like my mugs, I've got hoodies, t-shirts, I've got some really odd things. I think I had like shoes at one point. I put like the Farden design on, like custom shoes. So I use kind of like Printful and a Shopify integration on my website, so you can just buy it direct to the website. Or there's great places like Etsy as well. You can have your own Etsy store for your merch if you don't want to kind of do more of the technical side of things. But print on demand's fantastic because you don't have to hold any stock. But I've seen a lot of authors there are merch companies, not like Vistaprint or Printful and things like that, but people who just specialize in like fantasy merch. I think it's like Ryan Cahill's merch come from a company that kind of handle that all for him, and he's sort of like licensed or worked together with them, and he's not alone. There's a load of authors that do that, and that can be a really good process as well, because they sometimes have all the artists, all the printing, all the warehousing, and all the shipping, and you can just either do a royalty split or however they work. So that's a good idea as well. But it's sometimes nice just either, if you do have some skills, creating something by hand or yourself. I don't know if I could actually forge it. There's lots of very tiny little details.
It wouldn't turn out the same every time.
Exactly that. That's the good thing about kind of.
But then maybe that would be a good thing. You could. Everyone will be unique, so you could.
Well, I see a lot of people doing that. And kind of making their own stuff. And I think that's kind of cool, because that's even extra. It's like the magpie effect, but so really, really enhanced connection with the author that's going to come from them. That's actually what I'm doing with my most recent Kickstarter. Is I'm making dragon pendants by hand. We'll see how that goes.
I hope that was a fairly high level of pledge to get that.
But
yes, it was.
But then you brought up, like, just in the course of your explanation, is like so many different avenues of doing these things. But depending on where you live, there are a lot of opportunities for you to work with local creators. And so, when I was living in Vancouver, I would order a bunch of blank T-shirts in bulk, and I have some friends who run a print shop over in East Vancouver, and basically they do art prints, they do serigraphy. Do you Ben? They do serigraphy and stuff like that. So basically like stamping the designs onto the T-shirts and everything, and they taught me all that they know. And then when I came to Ecuador, I did the same thing. Like, I met some people who run.
Oh no.
Oh, that's an unfortunate freeze as well. He looks really intense.
He looks very like he's about to sprint somewhere.
Maybe that's what he did.
All right, am I back?
Oh, he's back.
Back? Yeah.
Back.
Okay. Yeah. Y'all just like froze for a second, and then I disappeared. But yeah, so when I came to Ecuador, I did the same thing. I met people who knew people, and just 2 degrees of separation from whatever you need, kind of thing. And they ran their own print shop, and so I would get all the T-shirts in bulk, just like blank shirts in different colors. I would do the design myself. I would take it to them, and we would just crank out like 100 T-shirts in like a weekend or something like that. You know what I mean? Awesome. But the thing is, like, you don't necessarily have to be so hands-on, but just know that there are different levels to which you can be involved in the process, and almost always you'll be able to find a business that is either local or national that you can get in touch with and work with to create whatever it is you need. Like, all Ben had to do was look across the country and find a coin making company in Ontario, kind of thing.
That's it.
So there are different ways that you can approach it, but it's more so the mindset of like, how involved do I want to be, and how am I going to basically manufacture this product, and then how am I going to ship and distribute this product.
Jenny, if I can, you're wearing a very particular hoodie this evening with your
this one's my new one. So this was the one I made for Hector in the winter. So obviously he is.
So that's
I do all my own Hectors. So I know at Brighton I was running around in a yellow one, which also had the massive Blazing Wren logo on the back. So it actually had my imprint logo on the back of that. So I don't tend to wear it in the day when I'm wearing all my fancy gear, but if I'm setting stuff up, if I'm going down for breakfast, any of the other time, I'm always wearing a Hector. Same in Glasgow, I was wearing an Hector, then dresses to theme with each of my books. So I have Hector dressed up in cosplay as a dragon that goes with the pact. I haven't quite worked out how to make him look like a seal without making him look ridiculous yet. I don't have Adrian's talent. It takes me a long time to draw Hectors, but I do get there eventually. I've got him riding a witch to go with Unfamiliared. But for all of these, because of the whole Brexit malarkey, I have 2 print locations. So they're both print on demand. But if people buy from the UK, I have links to street shirts, and street shirts are pretty quick. They do a lot of different designs, and you can literally, I put them on my website. So they're on my website with whatever seasonal choices I've got that are in at the moment. So it might be the snowdrops and some generic Hectors and some ones that match the books. But I also use Redbubble because a significant number of people who buy stuff seem to be in Germany and Denmark for me. So they don't want to be paying duty from the UK, and they are being stung for it, like massively. Books from the UK to Denmark, I had somebody had to pay nearly 20 euros in tax for a novella.
Oof.
So on my website is also the links to the Redbubble shop, and it's not as cheap, but the quality is still good. We order stuff from there for my son. So I know it comes out nice. I've got Hector shower curtains on there. You can have Hector socks. If you want Hector on anything, I've got a whole Redbubble shop, and I have Hectored everything up. This one is not on there at the time we're having this conversation, but might be in a couple of days' time.
But I think an excellent example of just the different ways you can do the same. It's one thing that has sprouted all of these different.
But like things like the mugs, like Adrian's talk and Ben. So my mum got into cry cuts. That's the cover of Unfamiliared. So that's the cover of one of my books, and we just we printed it onto the mug to test to see if we could get the colors to come out, so that I know if I want to, I can now just pop down the road to my parents. My mum's got the machine, and we can just crank out a load of the mugs. Same with the mouse mats.
I feel like I've been saying that word wrong for years now because I've been calling it cricket.
I don't know, it might be, but I'm probably saying it wrong. But whatever it is, it sounds like it should be cut because it's got cut on the end. But yeah, she's got one, and it does mugs, and it does. I use this when I'm working, which is I teach online. So I'm drinking from it this way, and sometimes I'm drinking from it this way. And but yeah, it's only got water in. But no, I think you use what avenues you can use. I mean, Vistaprint's great for bookmarks in the UK, but things like stickers, I don't know about Lauren. I know you do some of your small dragon as well, but I tend to find that it costs me. There you go. See, I've got a Gates Hector there. He's dressed as a Sodal with his little stuffy puppy. And but I find it actually more cost efficient to just get them delivered. So again, stuffy puppy. So I get them printed in one batch and delivered. And then I just stick them in books. And you're talking street teams. So if it's somebody will buy every single book, I make sure I put something else in there every single time. Something more I know they haven't already bought from me, if I can. Because sometimes they'll buy something because they see something new, and you suddenly get an order for something through Ko-fi or Coffee, however you want to say that one that I'm probably now saying wrong as well. But having that as having on the page, having the option of just some stickers as well, and bits and pieces on there.
As you say, Ben, there's little things trickle in, but they can be, it can add up very quickly.
But they also bring kids to the table. And once the kids come to the table for the Hectors, you can pitch the book at their parents.
Nice.
I always just give the book to the kid, and then they just hold it up to the parent and be like, "Well, you touched it now. You got it.
It's covered in your child's cooties. Please buy this."
I wanted to maybe bounce off something you just mentioned there, Jenny, about sort of giving almost, I don't want to call them repeat customers, but big fans, sort of like the bonus stuff. So not that we are here to talk about it specifically, but there are obviously other ways that you can give bonus material to your fans, and one of them, is like services like Patreon. And obviously Lauren runs Patreon. You've got lots of bonus material that isn't, like, I think potentially if you think of Patreon, you could think of that you would have to give like a bonus short story every month or something like that. But I would definitely say, having been subscribed to Lauren's Patreon for a while, you don't have to, like, just the life updates that you get, and just just finding out, being connected to your favorite authors is really good. So I wonder if I can shoot that over to you, Lauren, to sort of maybe talk about that aspect of things.
Yeah, I think with Patreon, there's kind of like two approaches. You can either be like the Lit RPG guys and giving, weekly, daily chapters and updates and, really, really, really early access even to unedited stuff. And people are subscribing for that early access. And the moment you stop writing is the moment that they'll tend to drop off. Or my version, which is more like you mentioned, like sort of super fans. It's just if you want to have a bit of a closer connection in a way, I guess. So I do give extras, they get free ebooks, they get free audiobooks, they know all the news beforehand, they get free shipping on my website. Yeah. So there's a few things that I can give them without taking me time to write to give them. So it doesn't actually take away from my normal writing and marketing and everything. It's just, you have access to this. And then if you want a weekly update, then you can get that as well. So they're more sort of, they are supporting because they just like you and want to support you rather than in expectation of something. And I tend to do surveys as well, just to, check out, why did you join? Was it for this benefit, that benefit, or was it just for no reason? And for me, the overwhelming majority is no reason. I can't write quickly enough or consistently enough to do like daily or weekly chapters. So Patreon is really good for that. It's a way you can run ideas past people. They can be part of your author journey. You can discuss swag specials, you can discuss upcoming merchandise, you can discuss like all the things that you would ordinarily be figuring out yourself, but you have a ready audience that are almost like your guinea pigs that you're testing things on, which again sounds really evil, but it's not. It's actually quite wholesome. But these are your super fans. They want to be part of your journey, and at risk of getting into sort of a parasocial relationship, which you don't want to do. If they feel that they are involved and part of your journey, and then the extra swag is just the cherry on top. So just, I feel like I rambled a bit there, so apologies.
Yeah. No, I really enjoy Patreon for the same reasons.
You can integrate like merch into Patreon now. So you can have a merch store and you can integrate
Patreon mug
directly into it.
And sell collections of certain like exclusive writing or exclusive updates and author essays, behind the scenes stuff, all of that kind of stuff. So if somebody is interested but doesn't really want to give you a monthly subscription, then it's a small one-time fee and they can get access to the thing they want to get access to, which is helpful.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah, I do a lot of I distribute everything myself, books. I do my print runs and everything, all the swag and everything. So I like to keep everything as direct as possible. I think, with the way Amazon and other places are going, it's like the more you can bring in-house yourself, the better. But then if you have a few other avenues for a few other extra things that ideally doesn't take too much time, it can be really worthwhile, and, it can build up. And then over the years, you have such a fiercely loyal, dedicated, passionate group of readers, which is what every author wants to have.
Yeah. Time, I think, is the point there that I think is really key, because, if you're not a full-time author, you might have a busy, work life, family life, anything or both. And so, your time should be spent probably on the book first, or the next book. And so merch, not, for example, not every book is necessarily merchandisable, or every sort of author brand is, not everything can be given a logo and that sort of thing. So, yeah, I think if it's going to take a huge amount of time, sort of you become a merchandiser rather than an author, probably outsource it.
It's a very deep rabbit hole and a slippery slope. Like once you start, you're like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about that? And then, like Adrian was saying earlier, you can end up with boxes of stuff that just gather stuff and never shift.
It's because it's the thing. It's like, what do readers actually want? And I feel like things that are tied closely to the world, to the genre, obviously fantasy or sci-fi and that side of things. But yeah, there's some real weird, odd. Like I said, like I did shoes once, and I think I bought a pair, but that was it. But yeah, I go through Printful every now and again to see what their kind of new products are, and there's like baby bottles, cushion covers, like wheels for cars. I don't know, but you could just put your logo basically
Well, like
on anything.
hubcaps.
No, just a full wheel.
The full wheel. Like here's
really
a tire.
strange thing.
Here's a custom tire.
Custom tires, yeah.
Oh
No,
my
it's
God,
crazy.
You do have to spend a few minutes making sure your design fits, don't you?
There is that.
I mean,
that's the thing. Yeah, using those sites can take a while as well to get the right colors. Not only just to create the design, but actually to upload and apply the design to a t-shirt can take a while. And there's lots of settings, prices, shipping, countries, locations, return policies. There's lots of stuff to it, but yeah, it can take a while.
I think things like, much as I say, I'm not pushing them because there's loads of other companies that are more cost effective, but using things like Redbubble where they are print on demand and you don't have to deal with the shipping.
Yep.
I admire anyone who does everything from themselves, but I do have family, kids, and another job. I just simply don't have the extra time.
I mean,
to
one
work
thing
out
is time.
shipping
Another
for every
thing
possible
is,
country and every sort of combination of books. To go on to my website without it all being. I know there's things that can do it, but I have not yet managed to work that out.
I mean, one thing is time. Another thing is space. Like, do you have the space for all of this stuff? And
Exactly.
if you don't, then it's like, are you going to do a Kickstarter? First thing you should think of is like, do I have enough space to to accept this pallet of books that is going to arrive on my doorstep?
And don't ever spray your own edges. Unless you want to, and it's fun.
Ben has learned from experience.
I remember that.
I'm still finding, I think I say this all the time when I talk about it, but I still keep finding red paint dust in places in my house because I live in an apartment.
Ben has been sniffing paint fumes for years.
Yep. That's why I'm so mental these days. Yeah.
I think it definitely is a balance between what you can do yourself and what makes more commercial sense to outsource in terms of time or skill and effort and cost. Because while you can do everything yourself, it's not necessarily always the best thing to do if you're going to then spend weeks and weeks working on shipping books instead of writing the next thing. So it's, I don't know. I would always argue looking into doing it yourself because it may not be quite as time intensive as you might think. But then just be prepared to adapt for the next time or the next batch, or just be open to how things can change. Especially year to year, like the way we make merch now is different to how we made merch 5 years ago for certain products as well. Like I have pins. Do a little plug. A couple of pins here. Now. Pretty much all the pins are made in the Far East, usually somewhere in China. But I go through a company that deals with the manufacturer for me. Now I could cut them out and go directly to the manufacturer, but I'm not confident enough in who they use and what specifically to ask for and how to present the information to get the product that I want, which is why I give my my middleman, so to speak, a cut. But then in a couple of years, I might be more confident, and then I might be able to do that, and then I get to make more profit on them. So you just kind of have to keep looking at it, keep an open eye, and just adapt.
We also talked. We've mentioned the phrase Kickstarter a couple of times throughout this whole panel, and I think that would be a good thing to talk about, that sort of thing, and specifically special editions. I know we talked about lifting up the regular editions as well with all these various things you can do and the infinite amount of QR codes you can stuff onto a page. But
just a page full of QR codes.
Yeah, I mean, each one takes you to a different sticker. It'll be fine.
It's like a multiverse.
So I feel like we have a split here of I know, Adrian, you've been involved, I think, in a Kickstarter for the
we just did the Book of Spores in December.
And then Ben, you've done quite a few with you've been working through your series, doing all these special editions. And I think Jenny and Lauren, you've got special editions that the Broken Binding have done. So I know there's two different starts, but let's start with the Kickstarter side. So if you could just talk to that and maybe the things that might have allowed you to do that you wouldn't have been able to do with other things, and pros and cons, I guess, and just how that process was.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just all about kind of, I mean, Kickstarter is fantastic for multiple reasons, but it's all about facilitation for me. So the idea that, it's raising funds to accomplish something while at the same time getting a lot of people kind of involved, excited, deepening that connection again with the reader, and of course, facilitating the amazing book that you might not have been able to do otherwise. And that's the thing, the kind of the bonus kind of materials that you can have in the book or on the book for a Kickstarter is insane. And I think, Lauren, you're saying things changing. I put out my second Kickstarter technically for my series a good couple of years ago now. And, I thought my book was quite fancy, or that special edition was quite fancy. And now some of the special editions that people are bringing out are unbelievable. We've got fold out maps, we've got hub spines or spine hubs, we've got, books that like serve you breakfast. It's amazing. And it's just something that it's like something that I love to see. And I think, it's incredible. Like, obviously Adrian, you're up, lifting up the, the standard edition. And then, people just keep putting, those special editions further and further into the stratosphere, which is amazing. And I'm all here for it. And then again, you have all the, the rewards as well that you can add on top of that. And there's things that are exclusive. And I think exclusivity is a big driving factor behind special editions and merch as well. So I always have my art prints, because obviously you get to commission art, or you can commission art for your special editions. And again, I sell some of them on my website, but there are, only a few things you can get. Like the coins, they are Kickstarter exclusive, unless you're very friendly to me and buy me a beer and I'll just give you a free one. That sort of thing. So yeah, for me, it's kind of, the exclusivity really drives, a lot of interest. And the amount of people that have come to my Kickstarter projects without actually reading the books, or the whole series, or me in general, and then go, it's the magpie effect, and they think this is shiny, I want it, and then they actually become a fan through Kickstarter, which is fantastic. But yeah, exclusivity facilitation is fantastic. I feel there's a lot of pressure right now for authors to jump into special editions, or to kind of some simultaneously publish and then run a Kickstarter at the same time. But it's like that sort of, there's a lot of layers, there's a lot of details it should not be rushed into. And you shouldn't, if you think that special edition isn't for you, that's absolutely fine. There are other ways of doing it as well. But if you do have the kind of the aptitude for a bit of math and some spreadsheets and finding suppliers and sort of building a Kickstarter project, and up for marketing it continuously for about 25 to 30 days and filling up your feed with Kickstarter stuff, then yeah, it is fun. It's fantastic for the readers. It's fantastic for you to get a project, to get a product looking as perfect as can be, or as beautiful as can be, and creating some other exclusive rewards for your readers.
Yeah, I mean you nailed it, man. It's like so much of it is about the facilitation of this really, really cool product, but the key word here is exclusive. It's like you want people to feel like they're going to the Kickstarter ecosystem to get something that they cannot find somewhere else. And so for us, it was like, yeah, we're going to include, other editions of the book. There's going to be the ebook, there's going to be the paperback for the Book of Spores, but the main draw is this deluxe hardcover that no one is ever going to be able to get unless they back this Kickstarter or pre-order it in the late backer store. But once that late backer store is closed, it's like no one's ever going to be able to get that again.
Yeah.
And that is a really big draw for people who want to feel like they're investing in something that they are helping to create. It's like on one hand they are your customer, but on the other hand they're your investor. And so it's this really interesting dichotomy there. But that intimacy of that backer knowing that my money went to create this product is especially satisfying for them. And for you as the creator, it's like you're especially grateful because that person believed in you and believed in your product and helped you to make it a reality. And so the more that you can do to make that feel more exclusive, whether it's merch that is exclusive to this product, or the deluxe edition itself, the special edition itself, making that feel as special as possible really helps to bolster the legitimacy of that project within the Kickstarter ecosystem, because that will not work anywhere else. I mean, there are other crowdfunding platforms, but like BackerKit, whatever, but it's the same thing. It's kind of like the BackerKit ecosystem or the Kickstarter ecosystem. It's just in general a crowdfunding system. The majority of people who shop there do not buy books on Amazon. The majority of people who are buying stuff on Kickstarter buy stuff on Kickstarter. That's their thing. That's what they love.
Mhm.
And they love to be able to facilitate the creation of a product. And for us as the creators, we love the opportunity to facilitate like an exclusive, extra special edition of whatever it is that we're putting out there. But like Ben said, man, like I've had friends they saw what we were able to do with the Book of Spores, because that was our first Kickstarter, and we're really, really happy with how it turned out. But people who have like one book out there and they're like, I need to do a special edition and blah blah, and I'm like, cool, like just fucking calm down, please. Like you need to understand that this is not the most important thing you can do for your career right now. I even talked to a friend the other day who was just like, is it more important for he had this dilemma where he was like, is it more important for me to fund the creation of my audiobooks or to run a special edition campaign? And I was like, he decided to go with his audiobooks, and he produced 4 audiobooks in one go. And I was like, that is it's a huge investment, but is a much better thing for the long-term success and longevity of your career. A special edition will not make you a New York Times bestseller. It will not make you like the biggest thing in self-publishing since fucking Ryan Cahill. It will not turn your career around. It is a thing that can bolster a career that already exists and a readership that already exists, but it is not the be all end all. And so there are things that you have to take into account, like what is worth my time, what is worth my resources. And like Ben said, there's a lot of logistics for a Kickstarter behind the scene that a lot of people don't think about. And it is also not a huge money-making endeavor, at least at first. You start to refine your process, but it's not like you're going into this and being like, okay, we made 50K on the Book of Spores. We didn't earn 50K. A lot of that goes towards manufacturing and production. A lot of that goes towards distribution and getting that product to the customer who invested, again, in the creation of this thing. And so don't go into Kickstarter thinking like, I'm going to become like, like a 6-figure author overnight. It's like, no, man, you also have to think about taxes and all different kinds of things like that. So be really thoughtful about why you would want to do this thing, what it means in terms of the overall state of your career and your writing goals and your author goals. And if it doesn't feel like it's something that's worthwhile, don't feel obligated to do it just because other people are successful at it. And
but
so
that's
think about
go ahead, then, isn't it? That's the FOMO, because like Kickstarters and special editions are like, they were quite rare 5 years ago, and now it feels like there's a new one every other week. And
thanks to the broken binding and thanks to Kickstarter,
which is it's not necessarily a bad thing, but some authors then feel like, well, unless I'm doing it, I'm going to miss out. Like, this is what everybody else is doing, therefore I need to do it. But then I don't have the readership yet, or I tried and my Kickstarter didn't fund, and then you have to deal with that as well, because it's not a guarantee. Because then you also have to balance, okay, well, you need to put stuff to show what people will get. So I'm going to contact this artist, and now I've paid this artist $3,000 for a cover that I've, scrimped and scraved to pay for. But now
there's no guarantee that you get your funding goal.
Exactly, yeah. So it's kind of, just because everybody is doing it and it seems to be the thing to do, it's such a personal decision, like whether it's actually right for you today. It may be in a year or 2 years, or it may be fine for you today. But I know a lot of authors that have had, smaller campaigns, not all the big bells and whistles, but like, just wanting £1,000 or something just to get maybe an audiobook made up or something like that. And then it doesn't necessarily fund. And then that's crushing. So it's you also have to be very aware that is a possibility of happening. You can get all your ducks in a row to give yourself the best chance, and word of mouth and shout about it and whatnot, but that's still something that can happen. And to not necessarily be disheartened, because I think Kickstarters work in specific situations for specific books of specific authors.
And the thing is like you need to determine what your markers of success are. And one thing could be like, I'm really happy doing direct sales and creating my own merch and selling that to people. And your definition of success comes from the ability to connect directly with readers and directly with people at conventions and that kind of thing. Other people see something like a special edition as like this milestone that they have to achieve. And that milestone can take so many different forms, right? If you're in traditional publishing, that could be finally getting an agent after querying for so long, finally getting your book picked up after being on submission for so long, finally seeing your first cover and all these different things. You have to determine for yourself what your milestones are. And if merch is a little milestone that you think you can handle in smaller doses, go for it. But if you don't feel like you have the time or energy or space to accommodate that, don't push yourself beyond what you know your limitations are. Same goes for Kickstarter and special editions and all these things that are, like Lauren said, it's just FOMO. It's just you thinking that these people are successful because they have done X thing, but it's like in the grand scheme of that person's career, they have a different set of goals, and they have different capabilities. They have different, like a different like financial foundation and things that they can do based on what's going on in their life and their career. So you cannot expect you to be able to achieve the same things if your circumstances are completely different and unique to you. So figure out what works for you, but don't fucking force yourself to work into someone else's someone else's milestones, right?
So I try and teach authors all the time is that basically just take things. There's no better marketing than the next book itself, but that book doesn't have to be a special edition. Get the books out there.
But there's no like you do this and then you do this and then you do this and then you're successful, because otherwise we'd all have exactly the same career with all exactly the same amount of success at each of those stages. It's like, how do you write a book? Plot and pants and a combination of like, it is different for everybody. Like you don't have to be like, right, I've written a book, now I must do a hardcover, now I must do a special edition, now I must do stickers, then I must do a pin, and then I do a sequel, and then these things will happen, because it's not like that at all. And I think a lot of especially new writers are expecting to be given a roadmap to success. Like, if I do this, then I will achieve my goals. Like you said, whether it's connecting with readers or selling X number of books or getting this deal. And it's never like that, and which can in itself be a bit disheartening, because sometimes you think, well, if I just work really hard and follow these steps, then I will have success and happiness. And
all I need is gumption.
Doesn't work like that. And
no, but
I remember going.
Go ahead, Jen,
I remember going to see Mike Brooks did a talk when I was living on the other side of the country, and he was talking very clearly about the same sort of thing. And he said the biggest thing you have to say to people who are trying to make that difference and that step up is the thing that matters is out of your control, because the thing that matters is luck. It's your book in the right place under the right eyes at the right time is the thing that will potentially change. You can help it with your marketing, you can help it with your position, you can help it with the rest. But as Lauren said, you can be doing everything that you think you should be doing, and your book may just not catch the eyes of the right people. And luck is definitely, for me, luck has been one of the biggest things. I happened to launch a book at the same time as Broken Binding were starting to build themselves up. They happened to be looking for a new British female author to support with a pretty cover, and that's how The Skin got its runs with them. That's why I got absolute sheer luck, and it is that simple. And my first special edition was that simple. It was just a limited run. They only ever I produced the run that then was sold to them. The more recent one wasn't the same level as Lauren's. I don't have gold edges, but it's a special edition. And it's a special edition that for me was a massive deal. Seeing that many of my books in one place on pallets and going up there and signing hundreds and hundreds of books, I was just like, this is amazing. And but all of that whole pathway there, with all the marketing in the world that you want to do, can sometimes quite simply be down to being in the right place, seeing the right time, talking to the person that makes that link, that makes that connection, that does that extra step for you. And I know that sucks, but that is sometimes how it can be. And there is a level of that the more people you talk to, the more you market, the more you get your stuff out there, the more you build your street team, the more you do that, the more chance you've got of triggering that moment for you as an author.
Yeah, because there's so many instances in this industry. From the outside, it might look pretty cookie cutter in terms of how most people's careers go, right? If you look at the majority of authors in self-publishing and traditional publishing, it is this person published a book, but the readers don't see all of the blood, sweat, and tears that went into the creation of that book. that book is published. Awesome. They see people reading it. They see people talking about it on Bookstagram or whatever. In traditional publishing, it starts to hit some lists and things along those lines. And then you start to see special editions, and you start to see, if you're a traditionally published book, usually they'll do like a hardcover run, and then they'll release it in paperback the next year or something like that. And so there's all these pretty manufactured milestones that exist within publishing. But the thing that a lot of people don't see is like, okay, all of the hard work that went into this book being published in the first place, all of the connections and community that were involved in getting your special edition through something like the Broken Binding, or all of the work and connections and investments that had to go into doing something like a Kickstarter, right? It's like that Kickstarter involves, okay, how many artists, how many contributing authors, if it's an anthology or something like that, how many designers, how many editors, who's doing production and distribution, who's doing like the project management and all these different kinds of things. Like for the Book of Spores, it was such like a crazy ad hoc experiment where it was like we just brought together me, Fraser, and Eleni, and all the people that we knew at Fanfly Addict. Who wants to contribute a story? Okay, here are all these contributors we now have. Spent like a year and a half, writing stories and delivering these stories and editing those stories. Who do we want to get to do the cover art? Who do we want to get to do the end papers? Who do we want to do the design? I jumped in and took over that whole part of it. Who are we going to get to help us with the production and the distribution of all this? We brought on Merrick Books for that. So there's these different pieces that come together, and someone might see just the number on Kickstarter of what this thing earned, but they don't necessarily know the specifics of the team involved in that whole project, or they don't know the specifics about the degree to which all of these people coalesced and collaborated and busted their asses to make this thing a reality, right? Yeah. And so it's really easy to compare yourself, but you need to figure out what matters most to me. And it's really beautiful, like Jenny, the way that you described getting that special edition and seeing all your books in one room and signing all these copies and everything like that. That's a milestone that you developed for yourself, and you were able to reach it through the connections that you made within this industry. And a lot of the time it's like, yeah, those connections are based on you're in the right place at the right time with the right person, and that connection was made, and that led to you getting a book deal, or you getting a special edition, or you getting on a podcast, or you being involved in a project, and blah blah blah, like all these different things that can happen. So the best thing that you can do as an author is figure out the best way and most comfortable way to put yourself out there and start making those connections. Because in the end, you'll find collaborators, you'll find artists, you'll find editors and agents and booksellers and all kinds of people within this industry who are willing to hear what you have to say. Mm. And you have to figure out, do I have the right thing to say to them at that particular moment? And then you take that leap, and you never know what will happen.
And if you don't, make sure you've got a cute sticker or a pin to give them to make sure that they remember you.
So they never forget. Yeah, just like shove a pin in their face and be like ramen, and then they'll every time they
the
eat
next
ramen,
time they see that epic book, they're like, I remember talking to them.
Yeah.
This actually is a type of neuromarketing, which is what some people do. Whereas, like, I've seen bands do it. Subway does this, where they connect different senses to a product or something like that, so they have it kind of multi-sensual. So who's it recently that did literally a vampire book that smells like garlic when you open it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's really clever.
But
like
that, man.
Bands do it where they have like a certain scent or like a certain incense they play, so you kind of, your brain creates these like deeper emotional connections.
It's be the Subway bread of publishing.
Literally. In fact, if I opened a book that smelled like Subway, I don't know if that's a good thing. I really like Subway.
This book these pages are 100% made from whole wheat.
Literally just a bread, just a whole loaf of bread that you can read. That's what I'm doing.
With a Felix Ortiz cover on the outside.
Just like dot work in the actual bread.
Yeah, dude.
That's it.
That's the next Kickstarter, is sprayed edges on loads of bread.
I mean, dude, I tried so hard to make like because Michael leather is actually a thing, like mushroom leather, and I was just like, I wanted so badly for
It's
the Book of
expensive,
Spores hardcover case to be made with mushroom leather, but man, it was
Yeah.
like it was
Yeah.
7 times more expensive than what we were already going for. It was like, nope.
Ow.
No.
Yeah, one day.
Well, there you go. Even the wildest dreams and most successful Kickstarters can be scuppered by the cost of mushroom leather.
Yeah, dude, mushrooms are so cheap. It's ridiculous. I don't get it.
Make your own.
Yeah, man. Make my own. Yeah, press my own mushroom leather.
Maybe the weird mushroom man of Ecuador.
I'll just have like big old sheets of mushroom leather. I'll just have it over my shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we've had some really good conversations about all these like really wide ranging stuff that we could do with like bonus material, merch and stuff. And just also I think that last conversation as well, just really important to hit with the goals that you actually have, not getting swept away with all these. As you say, it can feel like there are lots of Kickstarters every day you're getting another one for somebody else's special edition. They're absolutely smashing it. And then obviously I feel like it can get even worse when you got somebody like Brandon Sanderson will sweep through and get like millions of pounds. And you're like, oh, yeah, no, I'll definitely do that. So, but you don't have to. So I think it's also important to, look at those other avenues. I feel like that's probably, focusing on your own goals will leave you at that point. So you can go and think, have a brainstorm, go make some stickers and look at all these different things that you can do. So before we wrap up, is there anything else that you guys think that like people should be considering more beyond anything that we've already discussed, like as indie creatives we can do with more bonus material or anything like that? Or as you say, we've elevating the books themselves, like our standard editions, but is there anything else as indie creatives we can think of with that extra freedom?
I mean, with everything we've been talking about, it's like we can talk all day about all this cool shit that we're doing.
Yeah.
Don't feel like there's any one thing you absolutely need to do. Just figure out what is financially viable. What you're able to do with your time. If you, the only reason I put all this stuff in Mushroom Blues is because I did it all myself. But I'm in a lucky case where I am able to do that myself. But a lot of other people have to work with third parties, whether it's a designer, an artist, or whomever. So just figure out like what your budget is. Be really conscious of that. And just, when it comes to a book, the main things are the story, the cover, and the editing. So just like focus on those things. Everything else is a plus, but figure out what it is you feel you can do for your story to elevate it and to give it bonus material and to expand it beyond just the base product. But don't feel like because someone else has a map, I have to have a map. Because someone else has this, I have to have this. It's like, no, figure out what works for you. Go basically experiment book to book, and each book will inform you on ways that you can cut costs and ways that you can better kind of direct your investments and things that are really important to what you want to do and the book that you want to have in front of people, basically. And that applies to merch, and that applies to all these different things. Don't feel like you have to do it. Figure out what works for you, what works within your budget, what works within your time and your life and all your responsibilities, and then sort of experiment with it. And if it works, awesome. Make that a part of your thing, and then move forward to the next thing bit by bit.
My thing is just have fun with it. That's the thing, as well as not that you didn't say anything. I agree with all your points, Adrian.
No, because if you're not having fun with it, then it's just like it feels a bit more like a burden.
Right? Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's like the book is a labor of love. It's obviously the keyword being labor, or keywords being labor and love. It's a difficult thing to produce. A book does sometimes take blood, sweat, and tears, or often does. But that's the thing. You mentioned that all those other things are a plus, but that's the good thing about being indies is we can experiment. There are very few kind of constraints. So if you wanted to do something that inside the book or in the design that hasn't been done before, and it's it complements the actual story and it doesn't kind of detract from the core of the actual book, have fun with it. Go for it. Produce a book out of bread. Spray your own edges.
Make your bread book.
Do it all. Spray the crusts of your loaves. Whatever you like to do.
I love how you slip that in. You're like, great advice, great advice, great advice.
Leave my mind.
Bread.
That's how I work. That's the way I do. I just like, try and be serious, and then my serious like reserves.
I mentioned
run out,
ramen
I
at the
have to be
top,
silly.
and Ben has been hungry ever since.
Mhm.
I literally, my stomach. I thought about muting myself a second ago because it's like it sounds like a bear is under my desk.
Yeah. I think I would only add pretty much what I agree with everything that Adrian and Ben have said, but like, don't get swept up in the FOMO. Don't feel like I cannot possibly take the next step unless I have done all of this extra stuff, because it really isn't the case. Because you'll just put unnecessary pressure and deadlines on yourself and stress. And, writing is hard enough, stressful enough, especially if you're trying to run it as a business. So just, I think that merch should be more of a natural next step rather than a thing that you must tick off before you can release the book. Even like just do it. Like it doesn't have to be all ducks in a row. You don't have to follow the trends. You don't have to mirror what other people are doing. Just don't get caught up in that, I would say.
I agree.
Go chucking a load of money on stuff that you don't know what's going to
Yeah.
take off. I mean, we talked about ramen. You don't know which characters from your book are necessarily going to be the ones that are the ones
Yes.
that will merch.
Mhm.
Until it's
That's
out
clear.
there, you don't know which ones are the ones that are going to be the ones people want.
Yeah.
Doesn't
I actually
have to
changed
be
a whole
there
book
first.
cover for that reason. Yeah, the last book of my Emaneska saga, like all 7 books together, I had a completely different idea for that final 7th cover, because with those books I started producing them myself. And people love this giant Minotaur character called Warbringer, and that was kind of, she was in the last 3 of those books and the kind of second part of the saga, and so I thought, well, she's going on the cover. So yeah, that's literally, and I didn't think that, I love the character. Warbringer is one of my favorite characters I've ever written, but I didn't think she would land that well with readers. So I think that's a great point, Jenny. Is just see what the books, see what listen to your
lands,
readers
and
essentially. Yeah.
they will tell you what they want to buy merch wise. You're only guessing, and you might guess wrong and chuck a load of money down the wrong hole.
Yeah, I didn't
But
even
then
know what the
it's
word
magician.
challenge coin was before someone suggested it as a stretch goal for my 2nd or 3rd Kickstarter. 2nd or 3rd, yeah. And I thought this is a great idea. So again, that came from a fan. Yeah.
Another excellent reason not to just get swept up and deciding to do what everybody else wants to do, but listening carefully to yourself, your fans, and do your research. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I've got lots of notes, so hopefully everybody at home has also got lots of notes for things to go off and research and think very carefully about the kind of things that they want to do. So I think all that remains really is to say thank you again, and we've got our final day of the weekend, the live weekend, today. So in a few hours at 4 p.m. today, you can see the Fangs, Fantasy and Fae panel, which Holly is going to be hosting. So come back for that. You've got enough time to go and get a drink, have a break, go and make some bread, paint some pictures on it, and come back. But all leaves me to say thank you again to my amazing panelists. It's been really, really interesting having a chat to all of you, and thank you so much. Also, we have negotiated 3 different time zones today, so I really appreciate that we've managed to do that. So I'll go around again clockwise. If everybody could just wrap up, say where people can find you and your stuff, and thank you. So Adrian, where can people find you and your bits and bobs?
My bits and bobs. Well, thank you. First, thank you for having us on this panel. Like, it was a lot of fun. You threw me off with bits and bobs, man. I don't know what the fuck to do with that.
Sorry, I'll just throw as many Britishisms as I can at you to really throw you off.
Oh my god, your Britishisms, dude. I am the author of Mushroom Blue, so you can go check that out wherever fine books are sold. You can also check out my website, adrianmgibson.com. I've got an online store there. You can go find stuff like t-shirts and whatever else. I've got like art prints and stuff that is related to my book, but then a bunch of cool things like hoodies and sweaters and stuff like that. Also, I do book design, so if you're ever in the need of a book designer doing interiors or cover typography, things along those lines, you can go check out my full portfolio over there. You can follow me on social media at Adrian M. Gibson, and you can check out my podcasts, SFF Addicts, basically anywhere you can find podcasts, all the platforms. But if you want to watch it in video, you can check it out on Spotify and YouTube as well, on the Fanfight Addict YouTube channel. So that's me.
Amazing, thank you. And,
sorry, one thing. Book of Spores anthology. We've mentioned it a bunch. If you want to go to the Late Backer store, go check that out. You can go to Book of Spores on Kickstarter. or like follow the links and stuff on my website or in my social media and stuff like that. I think that's open until July, if I'm correct. So if you want a weird ass fungal SFF anthology, go check it out.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
But also with your book design page, as we were talking about making the interior of the book or, interesting and doing different things, you've got a few examples on that page so that it can also, if you're looking for inspiration, that's also a good place to go.
Yeah.
Jenny, what about yourself? Where can people find you and your bits and bobs? Can keep it going.
So I'm at jhannaford.com with links out to all my socials off there rather than me listing all of those separately. There are links to most of my books on there. There might even, if you're lucky, be a few of the special editions left in broken binding of the Gates first two of the Gates series. I think they had a few left, which are very pretty and very shiny and shiny. And they have red sprayed edges. Look, nothing like nightmares. Sorry, Ben.
Still got that somewhere.
Shade, Jenny, shade.
There's a Hector page tucked away on there if you really fancy some Hector stuff or various other bits. And there are links. Yeah, there's a shop link on there that'll take you out to get coasters and stickers and random stuff. But yeah, jhannaford.com and everything links up there.
Perfect. Ben, what about yourself? Where about your bobs and bits?
Well, my bits.
that sounds a bit weird now. Actually,
No, first off, I just want to say thank you as well, Alex. It's been a great panel and great to see you all. And thank you very much for having me. But yeah, bengalley.com, Galley, nice and easy. That's where you'll find my bits and probably most of my bobs. Otherwise, linktree/Bengali. That'll have all my socials, my Kickstarters, website, Patrons, Discords, everything. That's the easiest place to find me there. And of course, all my books are, where you get your books, essentially. And you've got lots of different series to dig into. And also, if you want to find my consultancy as well, or coaching, that's also on my website and my link tree as well.
Perfect. Thank you. And Lauren, what about your bits and bobs?
I can't get over how weird that sounds now, despite that being totally normal phrase. So yeah, again, I write under the name LL McRae, so I have a website and a link tree as well, llmcrae.com or linktree/LL McRae. I guess that's how it works. So you can find everything. I'm really push on buying direct, so you can get ebooks, audiobooks, and paperbacks directly on my website, special bundle deals, all of the swag. There's so much. I have artwork prints. All of my paperbacks can be signed. They all come with bookmarks. I hand pick, pack, and write a thank you note with every single order. Everything Draconic is there. As Alex mentioned, I also have a Patreon. So if you're interested in any of the behind the scenes stuff, I write a lot about selling live at in-person events, author essays, like author toolkits and things like that, which is quite fun. And if you are a patron, then you get free worldwide shipping. I only have one tier, which is £5. So you technically get £5 flat fee for worldwide shipping anywhere in the world. So that's always a bonus. And just again, to show off, this is the Iron Crown, the first book of my Complete Dragon Spirits trilogy that most people know me for. It has sold out. It doesn't exist anymore, but my paperback is on the bookshelf and I'm already sitting down. So, but just search Iron Crown or LL McRae. Everything's on my website. And yeah, as Ben said, thank you so much for inviting us to the panel. It's been so much fun.
It's been very interesting. Sorry, I was looking for my Iron Crown paperback, but I'll just have to knock over like a dice or a Pokemon or something, and it's just all going to go wrong. But yeah, no, thank you again.
Alex, where can people find your bobs and bits?
My bobs and bits. Well, maybe the bits on OnlyFans, but if you want all the bobs, then you can find that on alexbradjoe.com, or that's usually where you can buy, all your decent books. I've got a couple of books out, Trollgrave, that side, and Windborn, a couple of Norse-inspired fantasy books. And yeah, so I think they're pretty good. So go check them out.
Trollgrave is fantastic. I loved it.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. You heard it here first. There are other people that also say it's good, so maybe not. Hopefully not here first. But
you just got a blurb from Lauren McRae. Throw that shit on the cover. Man.
Yeah, 100%. I will be doing that. But yeah, again, thank you so much. We've got more things to come this weekend. And then also in May, we're going to be doing an in-person event, which we're very, very excited about. It's been a while since we've done our first our in-person event. So yeah, it's going to be amazing. It's on the 23rd of May in Shrewsbury. It's free to come along. So please do come along. We've got loads of amazing authors and traders and panels and everything. And it's going to be just fantastic. At the time of recording, we've still got some trader tables available. So come talk to me if you want one of those, and probably some sponsorships too. I'm not in charge of that, so I don't know. But just come talk to us and give us lots of support, and it's going to be the best. So again, thank you so much, everybody, and we will see you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.